Hello, my name is Joe, and I started a project called Nubble, which aims to help gamers find fellow gamers. And games these days, while they matchmake you with a bunch of other people to play the game with you, they don't really hit on a lot of key factors required for making you new friends with those people. A lot of times the game will get you into a match, you play the game, you're out of the match. It's a very quick and efficient and clean process, but it doesn't do what it needs to do to make you friends. Because games are getting more and more efficient as well, there's less and less communication required inside the game. People need to spend less time together talking and interacting with one another. And I see that as a problem where it is continuing the cycle that we have in this day and age on the internet, where more and more people are kind of spending time online, but they're not really spending time with other people. So that's kind of the problem I want to help solve with the project I'm doing, Nubble. Now, this video is a status update video, primarily intended for people who have watched the other status update videos or been following the project. I was doing bi-weekly updates up until the end of August, but at the end of August, I had to basically leave the country and the continent that I was in. I was in Europe, my visa was expiring, so I had to travel back to Canada. I had some rough idea for how long this would take, and I also had some rough idea for the things I'd be doing sort of during this transition period and after. But a number of personal things have come up in my life which have caused these plans to have to change, and then change again, and then change again, and change again. So now it's been about 2 months since my last status update, and a bunch of things have changed over and over. I intended that when I got to Canada, I'd spend a week in between now and then just kind of traveling. I was going to go to Oslo in Norway, and that happened. When I got back, I ended up being sick for nearly 2 weeks, so that set things back. And then the other thing I found was once I got here, I'm in my parents' home right now for a short period until I figure out where I'm going next. There's a lot of distractions in this house, and it makes it very difficult for me to concentrate on the project and work on it. Programming and trying to share it and whatnot, for me, is something where I really need the time to concentrate and think. Plus, this being the house where I grew up, there's a lot of, let's say, old bad blood with bad experiences. When I was talking about people having maybe isolation and anxiety, or not anxiety, but stress associated with, this is tough to talk about. Basically, being in the home where I grew up brings back a lot of things for me, and it's very isolated out here, and I have to be very diligent not to fall into the old traps that I used to fall into. So that as well has caused a bit of a hindrance on this. Further, my relationship with my girlfriend, we were traveling together, ran into a bit of a road bump here as well. Turns out there's nothing for her to do out here in the middle of nowhere, especially since she can't drive out to anywhere to do anything. She doesn't have any friends, and because I'm not sure how long I'm staying here, she wasn't sure how long she was staying here, and it was going to be some time before she could find some stability in her life, finding a job and all that. So we decided the best thing to do was for her to fly back out to Vancouver, where we met, out to the West Coast, while I remain here and I try and figure my stuff out, and she'll figure her stuff out, and once we're both in more of a stable place, we'll come back and we'll meet up again. So that in itself is a little bit stressful, having to change that to a long-distance relationship. But we're both confident that it's what's necessary in order for me to keep working on this project and keep moving it forward. So that being said, I'm back home now and she's flown off, and I have a lot of time now to focus on my project and really put a lot more effort into it than I had been. Now, that being said, while there haven't been a lot of changes on the front end of the website, there's been a lot of stuff going on kind of behind the scenes. Given that I'm currently a one-man show running this, there's a lot of responsibilities I have, and there's a lot of things that I'm having to learn and teach myself. Because I want to take this project from a one-man show to a startup and actually hire some employees to improve things like the user interface, user experience, and just the general feature set on the website. Also people to help market the website and bring more people into it so it's actually a more vibrant and useful community. All of these things take a lot of time and effort and work. So that being said, one of the next plans is to try and go down to Silicon Valley in San Francisco, find support for the project, find an incubator, and try and find mentorship basically to help grow the business, as well as even to find funding so I can afford to hire people on. Now, doing all these things and all of this network and all the considerations that have to go into place with actually turning a passion project into a business, which is something I've never done before and never been exposed to before, it's a lot for me to learn and it's a lot for me to take in. I'm also learning more and more so gradually that my previous timelines that I expected for this project aren't necessarily entirely realistic. Now that I get a clearer and clearer picture of what's involved, I'm kind of having to push times out and out and out and out and further as I come to understand what's involved with them. So while I had initially planned, maybe in the summertime, which was 2 or 3 months ago now, I would go down to San Francisco and find an incubator and get the business up and running. Well, that got pushed to maybe in the fall, which is right now. And now it's being pushed to early in the winter, which is a few months from now. And I wouldn't be surprised if it got pushed further from that as well. It might end up being significantly longer before this happens. Now for me, that's a bit of a pill to swallow. I don't really like sitting around and watching and waiting, but it's something that perhaps has to happen if I'm to take this business and grow into something much bigger. Now, I had a lot of plans for what I wanted to do through September and now October, which we're halfway through. Most of that consisted around ramping up the marketing for Nubble and getting more people and users in the door so that it can help it to grow and be a better community and be more useful for everyone, because Nubble as a service is only useful if there's people on it for you to discover and connect with. But I'm already running a little bit behind on that one, so I'll do my best to do that and get more people in. It's going to take some time. And then for my second initiative, trying to get down into San Francisco, that one's also going to take a bit of time. Now, those two things can also be conflicting. If I'm focusing a lot of my time and effort on trying to get into Silicon Valley, that means less time and effort that I can focus on to Nubble. So it's a bit of a catch, but in the end, I think it's necessary that I do this if I am to actually grow this. And furthermore, I want it to grow rapidly once it starts growing. I don't want it to be a slow trickle over time, because I think that's how projects like this die out. Instead, when I do get it going, I want it to ramp up. And that's why Silicon Valley and San Francisco make a lot of sense for me. So now I'm going to be doing my best to be a bit more engaged with the community in Nubble, mostly in the Discord server. Probably put a little bit more effort into the attention on the website in terms of bug fixes and improvements. I also wanted to do more user acceptance testing, which basically means just getting feedback from the users and acting upon it. And now I will have a bit more time to do that. And yeah, I think that's the most of it. For me personally, this is... it's a lot of things for me to juggle. My personal health, mental health, physical health, relationship with my parents now that I'm back here under their roof, being in the countryside, being a bit more isolated than I've been used to. I've been living in cities mostly for the past while. Having to do a long distance relationship with my girlfriend now, having to figure out how or if I can get into the States and the visa process, what with NAFTA being all that stuff happening, might make it hard for me to get down there. It also means that I've got to take some time to figure out a backup plan. For me, the backup plan is probably Toronto or Waterloo or something, basically a Canadian alternative to Silicon Valley. If I'm not able to get down there due to legal concerns, then I stay here in Canada, and that also means I need to start building networks and connections with people down here or up here as well. Meanwhile, I guess just due to my personality, I feel a bit guilty about how little I've been able to contribute to the project recently and how little I've been able to follow up with people. I was doing 2-week videos, and most every day or every other day I'm thinking about how many days behind I am, and now it's about 2 months. So it's a lot of things for me to manage. But I think it'll be healthy to get back engaged with the community, start flowing out different things again in terms of trying to get more people interested in the project and showing it to them. Because what always happens there is I get a ton of positive feedback, and ultimately it helps remind me that I'm building this project to help people in the same scenario that I am in or have been in. And so long as I keep that at the front of my head and the front of my mind, it makes all of this really quite worth it, and it helps motivate me to keep going. But yeah, I think that's it. I do intend that in another 2 weeks I'll have another status video updated, but this time, if I can't get one out in that time, I'm just going to do a really quick video, maybe on my phone or something, or just on a webcam, just to get something up there, some news up there, some update, even if it's just to say nothing's really happened and I've been kind of roadblocked. And that's about it. Thanks for taking the time to listen, and thanks for your interest in the project. It really means a lot to me. Even just one person expressing, how interested they are in this and how much they want to see this succeed, it really does a lot for me and my morale to keep going. But that said, I'm going to keep going one way or the other because I believe in it and I believe it should work. That's it. I'll be on the Discord server fairly often. Lemmings19 is my username. Since I didn't mention it already, the website is nubble.com. That's nubbl.com. Yeah, stick around for more status updates and hop on the Discord and shoot me a message, and that's about it. Leave some comments in the comments if you want to say something. I'll engage. And like, dislike, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Have a good evening or day or morning or whatever it is there. I'm tired. Okay, goodbye.